Welcome back. You tuned in to the Thursday edition of the nation's most revered breakfast show, Good Morning Namibia. It's been a busy year for the Ministry of Education, Arts and Culture. And to shed light on key developments and initiatives, we are delighted to be joined this morning by the Executive Director, Madame Sanet Steenkamp. Good morning, ma'am, and welcome to Good Morning Namibia.
Thank you. Good morning, Denver, and also a very good morning to all our viewers.
I think there cannot be any dispute about the fact that 2023 has been an adventure for all of us, particularly busy for the Ministry of Education, Arts and Culture. What is your take?
And very productive, absolutely, Denver. Thank you very much. Yes, it's been a very productive year. Our staff has been out in the regions, reinforcing specific messages, and same with our honourable ministers and deputy minister, who are our political principals, who've been gracing, the regions with their presence and engaging with our school principals. So yes, it's been a very productive year for us, I believe, not just at head office, but up to school level.
Let's provide a bit more particulars. So which were the highlights? Which were the successes that we need to certainly acknowledge? And where are the persisting challenges and what are we doing about those?
All right. I don't know how long I have, but let me start.
You've got enough time. Yeah.
Let me start off by saying that we're very grateful that our Education Act number 3 of 2020 has finally been enacted in October 2023. The regulations have been signed off by the Honourable Minister, so they are ready for implementation. That's the big thing. The second thing is that we have high-level cabinet approval on our National Education Conference implementation plan. It took us quite some time and a lot of investment in terms of energy to get it right, because there were 43 recommendations made in 2022 August by the nation. We should not forget that. And we condensed them into 10. Came up with an 8-year plan, of which we started already in 2023 implementing that. And then I think in terms, we know the results for 2022 was nothing to be proud of as a ministry, as a nation. We all took, a responsibility and accountability for that. And we worked towards capacity development of our teachers in various subjects, especially AS. Produced a chemistry booklet. We already had one for mathematics and physics. And then give the training to the teachers, not just in those subjects, but those ones are the ones that I wish to mention. So there's been a lot of continuous professional development of our teachers. Another highlight that I think we're very excited about, because it will bring out the dimensions of and the aspect of performance, being accountable for my performance, for the targets that I set as a teacher. That is linked to the draft bill that we have on the professionalization of teachers. We're very excited. We work together with the unions. Our relationship with the union is also strengthened. And then, of course, I think lastly, we have allocated specific positions for principals, 16 of them for 2024, which means that there were 16 new schools that were going to be established across specific regions. And then, of course, 723 teacher allocation posts have been allocated. That's on the teaching part. On the creative arts, we've made great inroads again. In terms of culture, we are now busy, after wide and in-depth consultations, Denver, with the inscription on UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage. We are busy with getting the Holy Fire, inscripted. So,
wow.
Exciting times. That doesn't mean we don't have challenges. We only constructed 510 classrooms and 77 ablution facilities out of the 1,442 that we wanted, 1,242 that we truly wanted. But I think we are making great inroads in that regard as well with the infrastructure development.
Thank you so much for that comprehensive overview. I want to quickly return to the Education Act, Act number 3 of 2020, if I remember correctly what you had said, that has now been enacted in October this year, and that means that the regulations have been operationalized, so now you can just implement. Does that also speak to the performance of the entire ecosystem of education, specifically teachers? Because I'm curious to see how that will play out.
So the performance of teachers, we must remember that we have in place what we call the National Performance Indicators. There are 7 key areas. So basically with that, to make it very simple, it says that the school in Aranos and the school in Ogongo and the school in Ndara should be at the same standards.
Wow.
If they have hostels, and if you look at the key performance indicators that are there, what are the things that I should do to make my school a school of excellence? So there's one area, for example, where we also have the community and the parental involvement. So that is one key area. So in that, we also have the teacher self-evaluation form. Now, the debate has been going on as to, especially in the Education Act, make provision for the Teachers Professional Bill or for a Teachers Professional Act separately. There you can hold teachers fully accountable. Teachers will be licensed, teachers will be accountable, fully for the target setting like they are now. They have target setting in place. They just do not see it, regrettably, as my performance agreement that needs to be reviewed. So if I'm a history teacher, I know that if I have 47 teachers in the classroom, which are the realities, all right?
47 pupils.
Pupils in a classroom, yeah. Then we know that if I want 80% of those 47 to have a B, what should I work towards? How soon should I cover all the work and make sure that the learners have the basic competencies? So that is all spelled out in the Act in terms of a Professional Teachers Act that will regulate the professionalization of our teachers.
Will that proposed legislation also make provision for the consequences in the event that I, as a teacher, continuously do not meet my targets?
Absolutely. So the whole aspect of accountability, responsibility, performance, protection of teachers, there will be a whole council set up, over a specific period of time. That is still being looked into. Is it 3 years? The debate has been going on. Shall we make it 3 years instead of 5 years? And that will regulate the whole teaching profession. So very soon in January, we will send out our teams, because in-depth consultations with all 14 regions have been done. We are now going back again to the unions to say once more, let's a final time assess and see that which is there is something that we all can live with, when it is to be implemented and when it is to be approved. And then we will also raise much more awareness on all media platforms regarding the Teachers Professional Bill.
Another bone of contention seems to relate to the duration of semesters.
Yes.
Talk to us about that, please.
So you'll remember in 2021, especially in 2021, we introduced what we call 2 semesters. We did that for 2 reasons in place. One, for the safety and the well-being of the learners due to Corona and COVID-19 pandemic, and the second one was due to the dark periods and the fact that learners have to walk such long distances. Nothing that we do is without consultation. When we looked at the implementation, we found that there were a lot of public complaints because we do publish in daily media. We do publish in the newspapers 2 options, and we ask the public and the school communities to give their input, which they do. So we still had, out of the 14 regions, 8 of them were preferring the semester system. However, as from 2024, our consultation, we wish to look at a 3-year period, and the possibility is big for us to return to a trimester system. Of course, you will be more lenient then in terms of when a school starts off, the time that a school starts off, so that we don't have learners walking in the dark.
Does that mean that schools could start at different times across the country, or would it still be a uniform
Yes, you need to
time?
be flexible. One need to be flexible that schools may have the liberty to start between, for example, 7 and 8. Of course, we know that schools prefer to start at 7 and finish a little bit earlier. So everything have genuine consequences, and it's something that we all have to live with again. There will be issues of traffic to be considering again, the availability of parents to be on time to drop off the children, but also be on time at their workplaces. So there's a lot of things. It's not just an easy decision to be made, but the National Advisory Council, of course, will, after assessing all the inputs that we get, make a recommendation to the Honourable Minister for her approval. We suspect if we run again with the trimester system, 3 trimesters, then the nation will be more at ease.
Yes. You spoke about the 2022 results earlier and how, as a ministry, as a government, as a nation, we were not too happy about that. Do we have any indications as to how this year went?
I wish I could have a very positive answer. We've just finished the grade review. The marking has been done, the review has been done, and now the grade review has been finalized with our experts in the ministry, as well as Cambridge, who've been present here. So basically they are carrying in the final marks for the learners. We will have an indication probably as a ministry after next week what it looks like, but we are hopeful and optimistic that it's better than last year. You must remember that with what happened in our country was a true representation of what was happening on the ground. COVID hit very hard. The learners were disproportionately, affected. The learning crisis, and I wish to say it on national TV, the learning crisis will persist if we do not have targeted interventions starting from home. Getting siblings or tutors for our children, strengthen that which they get at school back at home. If that doesn't happen, Denver, we will sit with a bigger learning crisis at hand. However, we are delighted to say that the results will be released by the 12th. We initially thought between the 5th and the 12th, but we now know for sure. For AS and for NSSEO, the results will be released on the 12th, and we remain hopeful that there is improvement.
Yes, yes. Reflecting on the past year, both the highlights but also the challenges, what is it that's on the cards for 2024?
Well, we're going to be much more cost efficient, cut out the wastages. We've done a great verification in terms of our literacy promoters as well, which centres have been very active, which literacy promoters have been working for the 10 months of the year. We have already closed more than 262 centres. We are informing the regions about that now. So we are much more driven in terms of using the resources that are given to us in the ministry in a much more efficient way. We've been doing that all along, but we are now cutting to the bone, and people should know that. Secondly, we're going to come down much harder on the schools that misappropriate the funds, because we're going to have a bigger presence within the schools while we also support the school principals, on how to handle this money. We need to be much more clearer in terms of our message that it is unacceptable that public funds are misappropriated and not accounted for. So regions know that they should gear up for that. And then lastly, of course, we want a better presence of what happens, a better presence in our schools, and we want to zoom in much more about the quality of the teaching that takes place in our schools. So we have our action plans. We have our annual plans, and we specifically also in terms of literacy, numeracy, foundational skills, strengthening, better investment in lower primary, in pre-primary, for example. And then, of course, Denver, we wish to continue with the implementation of our implementation plan for the education conference.
Notwithstanding the noble nature of austerity, it also comes at a cost. And closing more than 200 of those centres, what is the price that we might pay for that?
Well, for one, we will not close centres without making an informed decision looking at the evidence and the data. We have found that there were fraud going on, that literacy promoters, for example, would claim that they were students, but they were none. Or they would pre-record 3 times the amount of students. So we really went with verification teams into the regions. Our literacy rate is relatively good for Namibia. It's between 87 and 90. We will see now with the census where do we stand exactly with our literacy rate. Denver, if we are all gainfully employed, if you do not get to work and you earn a salary, I think it's morally. I think it's wrong. I think, that should not be tolerated by anybody. So we will continue also as a ministry to do our staff verification, not just with literacy promoters. We do it every second year with directives from the Prime
That was going to be my
Minister.
next question. Do ghost teachers still exist? Do they still pop up?
No. We don't have ghost teachers. I want to make it very clear. For every teacher that is not in school, you must have evidence that day when you do the verification, because it's manual verification where you come with your ID and you sign next to your name on the payroll. That's what it takes, for example. If you're not there, you need a sick leave, you need your transfer letter. So many times it happens that you're transferred from the one to the other, or that you can find now on the system, so you can trace every single person on the payroll. And if there are 3 or 4, for example, within a specific region, that for whatever reason do not report within a given period, we stop the salary immediately. And you know what then happens? When you stop somebody's salary, you touch the livelihood, and then they appear.
Wherever it is that they may have found themselves.
Wherever it is where they find themselves, you know, whether it was deep in a village and not coming to school. So those things are there. And that's across the state with the 107 public servants, 7,000 public servants that we have. So you need to have a payroll verification every second year to determine that those that are gainfully employed are actually delivering the service that they should.
Very well. Any final thoughts before we let you go this morning?
Well, I'm excited about 2023 coming to a close, and I'm really looking very optimistically to 2024 with all our stakeholders, our role players, our parents, communities, and the learners. And let it be a year that we embrace just to do better, be better, and give our level best in whatever situation or circumstance we find ourselves. Just give our level best.
Thank you so much for that very important message. Thank you for the great work that you and the team continue to do despite all the odds. And may you have a blessed time of reflection and rest.
Thank you so much, Denver. Likewise.
Thank you very much.